It's an absolute pleasure to welcome the Eastbourne Borough owner, Simon Leslie, to the From the Club podcast. Welcome to the show, Simon.
It is very nice to be here, David. I am your greatest fan, as they say. Um, I've watched you from the start, and I might have given you a little bit of encouragement, maybe a kick up the backside in the beginning. But there is nobody more delighted than me that you're achieving such amazing success and viewing figures, and it's really coming together. And I'm enjoying them as well.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, well, you absolutely were key at the beginning. I still remember when me and Jack were buying a coffee at Spooner's and we bumped into you and had a cuddle, had a wonderful chat, and have been good friends and really encouraged by you ever since. So thank you for all that you've done for us, Simon. We massively appreciate you. But not everyone's going to know who you are. So tell us everything we need to know about you in 60 seconds.
I'm Simon Leslie. I'm a self-confessed salesman. Been doing this for 35 years this year, and soon I'll be good at it. I've run media businesses. I have investments in many different forms of media business, from all different types, from TV to outdoor to influencer, and I have a football club which is Eastbourne Borough, which we both adore.
Yeah, we do. We do. And of course, before Eastbourne Borough, you had an incredible career that's been told many times before. But just in case anyone listening hasn't heard about, the highs and lows of what you've done before Eastbourne Borough, just give us a quick overview of that, Simon.
I think the most impressive story is my business was on track for 150 million turnover in 2020, and COVID came along, and it went from that overnight to zero on March the 9th, 2020. Our business was all in travel, so we were completely affected by the travel business. And I spent the next 2 years rebuilding it and re-energizing it, and I left in March 23, and that's when I started looking for a football club. And in the last couple of weeks, I've returned. Success is driven by belief has always been my mantra. It's also the business's mantra, and I'm helping put some success and some belief back into the business.
We know that you've always had a warmth towards football. I've heard through Spencer Gore that you've played in a six-a-side team that has been very successful, and many people would have seen you take that penalty on Instagram, which. If you haven't seen, I'll try and find a link for that and put it on in the comments below. It was quite something. Uh, so we know you've always been a football fan. How long have you wanted to actually own a football club for, Simon?
Since I was 16 years old, I worked in Northampton um, as a clerk to a lawyer, and I walked past Northampton's grounds, and at that time, one of my dad's friends was a director, and I thought, oh, one day I'd like to own a football club. So I think it's been a burning desire since then. I really started putting the seeds out to the universe in about 2022. I kept saying to people, I really want to buy a football club now. I think now is the time. And everybody told me I didn't have enough money. It wasn't, timing wasn't right. And I went, oh, good. Lots of excuses. That means there's an opportunity here. And I kept exploring. And then one day I was very fortuitously um, I can't think of the word, introduced, that's it, to Alan Williams. We sat in this office, and he told me I was crazy. I shouldn't do it. It's not something I should do. I should do something else and enjoy my retirement and relax. And it took me about 3 or 4 attempts to convince him that I really was serious and I had a passion to do it, and convince him to come and join me on the journey.
You're just over a year into that journey now. You said you've been dreaming about it since you were 16 years old. So far, has it lived up to its expectations?
It's a bloody nightmare. It's no longer a dream. It's now a fully fledged nightmare. Um, last year was hard, and I got a lot of stick from a lot of people. Um, no one more than me, than myself. I'm my worst critic. Um, and there's been so many um, challenging moments and not enough um, happy moments. There have been some happy moments. Um, the final win of the season at Braintree, just seeing the fans and the players and the management, everyone just ecstatic and happy. I mean, that will go down as probably one of the greatest days of my life. I remember having lunch with Barry Hearn a couple of weeks ago, and he said to me, "Listen, I owned Orient for 19 years, and it was a pain in the bum because, but it brought 5 of my happiest 10 days of my life." And if you think about Barry, what Barry has done and achieved, to say that, you know, half of the highs in his life have been linked to football, it just shows you how powerful a sport this really is.
Yeah, no, for sure. You mentioned that you went out into the universe and started planting these seeds, and obviously you met Alan. With some of those seeds that you were planting, what other clubs were you considering? Obviously, we're very grateful that Eastbourne Borough became the one that you went for. But what other ones were you looking at the time?
I looked at, I think that the highest up I talked about Wickham, Colchester, Northampton. I did actually try and do a deal with Northampton. They had some issues with their stand and their finances and their partnering, so there was more than a few hurdles to overcome there. And then I looked at a couple of National League clubs. Obviously, I live very close to Boreham Wood. Um, it took me 6 minutes to get to their ground the other night. Um, and then there's a couple in, well, no longer in the National League South, but they were in the National League South when I looked at them. Um, and then Eastbourne came along, and I arrived at Eastbourne not expecting very much, not sure what to expect, and I'd been around a lot of the grounds, and most of them were sort of stuck in the back of an estate somewhere, or no land, no place to park the car. And then I got to Eastbourne, and it was like, oh my God, this place is huge. It's vast. There's so much land, and there's somewhere to park the cars. So my first impression was, "Hmm, there's something we could do here." I don't, and I'm still not quite sure exactly what it is, but there's so much potential in Eastbourne, not just in the football club, but as a town. I think the town has really been left behind. I think Brighton has accelerated so fast, and Eastbourne is a little sleepy. It feels like a sleepy village in comparison.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for anyone listening, we can picture the scene. You'd obviously had this, crazy journey through COVID where you had the business, like you mentioned, about to hit 150 mil, in turnover. And then, the way that you navigated through that, many people at that point, after recovering from that situation, would have happily gone on to retirement and enjoyed, you know, many, many holidays in a row. How did you sell it to your family when you told your wife that you was about to buy a football club after going through that season of your life? How did everyone react within your family, Simon?
I mean, everybody is really supportive. All my boys are involved in various different guises, and both and contributed some of their hard-earned savings towards it as well. So everybody's really passionate. What's really nice is it's an occasion where we're all together, and as kids grow older, that doesn't happen very much. And every Saturday, all of us together in the same place, watching a game. With a shared interest, and I think that's a beautiful thing about the club. At the time, of course, everyone's nervous. I was nervous. I was scared to death.
Yeah,
I'd gone from being a very satisfied and well remunerated um, director of a company to suddenly being having to pay for my own everything. Like
yeah,
nothing. There was nothing. I literally had to pay for every single thing I did.
yeah, yeah. When we rewind back to the very beginning, you came in and made some huge changes straight away to really announce that the club was going to be going into a new era. And people often struggle, don't they, with change, especially when it involves a football club that they love. How important was it, and is it, to get that pace of change right?
I've asked myself this question, and plenty of people have asked me the same question over and over again. Did you do too much too quickly? Did you do too fast? Did you try and go full time too quickly? And the truth is, you've got to do it at some point. And whenever you do it, there's going to be pain because change is uncomfortable. I battle with both sides of that debate. Yeah, maybe we should stay part time for another season or two and just had a more comfortable transition. Um, it's easy with hindsight to go, well, you made the wrong decision or you made the right decision. But at the time, it felt like it was the right thing to do, was to professionalise the club. Um, we've got a lot of senior players who are coming in now who've been at big clubs who are saying it is incredible what we're doing.
Yeah,
The level of investment from the insurance, from the coaching, through the training, through the cryotherapy, the red light therapy, all the different therapies that we're giving them, the ability to get the scans and get seen by surgeons as quickly as possible, um, doesn't happen at this level. So all of those things go unnoticed by a lot of the fans. All they want to see is the results on a Saturday or Tuesday. So that investment in the infrastructure of the football club is something that the fans don't always see, and that don't take into account. And it doesn't get you results, but it's something that we wanted to do and want to do it properly. And we had a vision that we're going to do football differently. We were going to bring a different level of care and attention to the footballers. Now, you can have that commitment, but you're still going to have footballers who want to be a pain in the bum. You're still going to have managers who want to be a pain in the bum. You're still going to have an owner who wants to be a pain in the bum. It's still human beings dealing with human beings. My commitment has always been to do the best I possibly can at any moment. And sometimes we get those moments right, and sometimes we get those moments wrong. And sometimes we get the right players, and sometimes we get the wrong players. But we started so well last year. It felt like we had incredible momentum through pre-season. First game of the season, we won. We didn't lose the second game, and then all of a sudden, the wheels fell off the bus. And it's so easy now to sit back and go, "Well, you changed too much too quickly." But I think it was the right thing to do, and it taught us so many lessons. The lessons we're learning now, and I feel like I had another education last Saturday. I got a real education in how far we've come and how far we haven't come.
yeah. Well, we'll talk specifically about the Boreham Wood FA Cup game a little bit later on, but I want to just pick up on something. You mentioned obviously various pains of the bum. The Facebook group seems to be a little bit of a magnet at times for pains in the bum. You've won many of the fans over to a point where you're hugely appreciated and loved by the huge majority of fans. You obviously knew your own motives were sincere at the beginning. So, how difficult was it to receive pushback and negative comments online at every turn when you first began this journey?
It's not nice, but I understood and I expected it. I didn't expect people to go, "Oh, here he comes." Oh, Flash Harry from London. He's going to he's going to take our club and take our community. He's going to ruin it all. And probably at times last season they felt like we had done, but it was, the intentions were incredibly good from the start. We wanted to do something special in football, and I'm banging this drum with the football, the National League. I want to raise the standards of the league we're in, and I want to have better referees. I want us to have better facilities. I want us to have better resource for our players. And right now, we haven't got it. And I'm whilst there is noise there was noise from some of the fan groups. I was like, no, I'm on a mission. I've got something I've got to do. I've got to make a difference, and that's just noise. And I've just got to ignore the noise and just keep to the mission. And I have a very simple belief, which is if you do the right thing on more days than not, you're going to get the right outcome. And sometimes you make good decisions and get bad outcomes, and sometimes you make bad decisions and get good outcomes. And I think we made a really good decision and we got a really bad outcome.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I'm sure for you, it must feel like a lifetime that you've been at Eastbourne Borough. So much crammed in just just over the year that you've been in control of the club. But yet, in such a short space of time, you've already turned so many of the fans around. I mean, it's quite a unique. I've been a football fan all my life, been going to many different clubs, locally to where I've been living at the time, and I've very rarely heard the fans chanting the owner's name or the chairman's name. Yet within a year, that happens quite regularly. How does that make you feel?
Oh, I love it. I can't always hear it. People tell me that they're doing it, but I don't always hear it. Um, you know what? Brad says something. Brad Barry, our captain, he says, "Never too high, never too low. You know, just stay calm. Don't get too excited when they love you. Don't get too upset when they hate you. You know, just stay somewhere in between." And that's what's important. I'm glad that they're happier than they were a year ago. I'm glad we're doing, but we're still doing the same things we were doing a year ago. And okay, we get this. This is my point, right? We're getting a different result, even though we're doing the same things. Now you could say the team is a better team, but last year sometimes I think we played better and lost games, and this year we didn't play so well and won games, and that's
Yeah,
football, right?
yeah, yeah. I've heard many football club owners talk about how broken the model of the business side of football is, and there are very few clubs that are able to operate in a way that makes a profit. And of course, I'm assuming you haven't taken on this project just to throw all of your money away. How are you planning to do it differently, Simon, and to turn this into a football club that is sustainable?
Well, by now it should have been, and it's not, and it's a long way from being sustainable. Some of that is because we haven't been able to put in some of the additional services that we wanted to put in, like the wellbeing centre, having more hospitality on match days. So, and that's being held back by some of our friends at the local council. Just nobody's in a hurry to do anything and to support us with our mission. We still have limits on the electricity we can have at the club, which again, you know, in order to fix that is hundreds of thousands of pounds, which is slowing us down. So there are lots of things that I think could have made us um, closer to break even if we'd been able to do the things we really set out in our business plan. But we're getting closer. We're very close to having an agreement with a paddle partner, with a biohacking partner. Um, the fundamental problem, I think, of all of this is I don't think we're as well supported as we could be, and I think that not enough people come and have a burger. Not enough people. We got a comedy night on Saturday night, and we've sold tickets, but it's a comedy night. Some of the biggest acts in comedy, and we're not sold out. And it's little things like that that make a huge difference to how we get this club to performing. You can't survive on 20 home games a year or 23 home games a year. Some of them which are on Tuesday nights, which frankly are loss making. For me, having a Tuesday night game might as well throw another 10 grand down the drain because it really is a waste of money. We don't sell any food, we don't sell any drink, and not many people turn out, especially if it's raining sideways as it normally does in Eastbourne in the winter on a Tuesday night. So there's lots of things not helping us. If you look at our fixture in October, we've got a Saturday game and a Tuesday game. That's it.
Yeah.
So where's the money going to come from if it doesn't come from me? We've got a thriving youth system, over 40 teams. But, it makes a small contribution to the club, and more, we're subsidising it as much as we possibly can because we want to get as many kids, in through the system. And we've been hugely successful in bringing global brands to support Eastbourne. We've got probably the best shirt sponsor of any league. When they were negotiating with me, they said, "Look, I've got Bayern Munich, Man United, and you." I know where I was sat on the side of the M25, and they said, "We've decided to go with you this year." And I went, "Wow."
Yeah.
So, but we haven't got enough support from the local businesses. We've got some brilliant support, but I could probably count on two hands how many local companies are really, really getting behind us. And people don't understand. They think it's a cost, and it really isn't a cost. It's not a transaction. It's about investing in your community. It's investing in your community club. Nobody's getting rich at this football club. No one's getting rich in football, full stop. Every penny that comes into the club is reinvested into the club, into the facility, into players, into better coaches, into coaching coaches. You know, we can talk a little bit about the managers and the choices that are made last year as well, because, I was desperate to give Mark Beard a real go at this is his first chance of being a manager. And he did a brilliant job. And then he didn't. And everybody's saying, get rid of Mark Beard, get rid of Mark Beard. And I didn't want to do it because this was his first chance. And I tried everything I could. I brought in lots of external coaches to help him and guide him. And no matter what we tried, the results, and some of it, he was hindered by injuries. He was hindered by the fact that nobody wanted to come to us because we were bottom of the league. And so there was lots going against him. But I wanted to stick with him. I wanted to give him that chance. I didn't want to get rid of him. And it was my mistake. I should have done it earlier, but I didn't. I finally succumbed after we got beat by Worthing, Boxing Day and New Year's Day. And it was horrible. It was horrible to watch. It was horrible to see him. I remember him coming off after the Worthing game in tears, going, "That's it." And I don't think I even fired him. I just think he had enough, and it was just, I can't do this anymore. Everything I'm throwing into it is it's just not working. Yeah. And but you only see then you get the people moaning, "Oh, you fired the manager." That's disgusting, and you have to deal with all that side of it. But the truth is, people will see our success. They won't see the sacrifices that we make every single month to get to that success. They'll see our failure, but they won't see the sacrifices we made to get there. And we made so many sacrifices over the last 12 months. That's why it feels like a lifetime, because we have done so much and been through so many difficult situations in a 12-month period to get to where we are today, enjoying some of the fruits of those successes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you're a big believer as well. I think you call it serendipity, don't you? Everything happens for a reason. And you think, that Mark Beard era, the timing of how that all happened led us on to Adam, who's come in and done a great job. But you think about the impact that, Mark had, the development of Fletcher Holman, who I know it's a big highlight for you. He went on to be signed by a Premier League club, an incredible achievement for our club. And hopefully he'll go on to really smash it in wherever he ends up playing, hopefully in the Premier League with Wolves. But I know Fletcher, credits a lot of that too, Mark Beard. So all of these things happen for a reason, and we are where we are now, sitting second in the National League South. And there's so much to be thankful for, isn't there, right now?
It really is, and that's a valid point. First time ever the player's gone from the National League South direct to the Premier League. I think Fletcher scored again last night or the night before. He comes every time he comes on, he scores. It's only a matter of time. I'm not sure if their manager goes first before he gets in, or I don't think he necessarily plays in a way their manager wants to play. But I don't know how long that manager will have in that job. That's the precarious thing about football. It's like you're only as good as your relationship is with your manager, and what your manager sees in you, and managers see in people different things.
Yeah, we've seen some really big historic clubs struggle financially in the division that we're in the National League South. One of those being Torquay United last season. Has it surprised you in how much it costs to run a football club? And if you can, just give us some examples of some specific things. You mentioned obviously like scans and stuff like that. What are some really expensive bills that you end up having to pay that fans may not appreciate?
It also depends how committed you are to running a football club properly. If you're just going to run a part-time club, not look after the players, not give them any insurance, when I came in here, they didn't have a coach taken to Braintree last year. So I paid for the coach to Braintree. They didn't have any snacks on board. I paid for those. And so it's just, people don't realise that there's these little things that we're doing now. You walk in the change room, there's a fridge full of drinks. They've got the best whey protein on the market, not the cheapest, the best one. Everything costs money. The National League, in their wisdom, have brought 4 referees in. So now our refereeing cost has gone up by 25%. players' wages have gone up because of the Wrexham effect, and the Stockport effect and the Barnet effect. All these players are spending much more on players. And even, you've got Dorking and Bournemouth in our league. They're playing with a National League budget, not with a
Yeah.
National League South budget. So that has an effect on players, what players think they're worth, what the players expect. Our budget has gone up this year. One, we've got some more better players, but also it's just gone up generally because everything is getting more expensive. We feed the players 4 times a week. Anybody that does a household shop knows how expensive it is to feed a couple of kids. We're feeding 25, 30 mouths every single day, twice a day. All cost money. Players don't have to put their hand in their pocket. When you go to Barnet, he charges them for toast and eggs. So everything we are doing costs money. Every time there's a leak, if somebody comes to the bar and leaves us a gift, someone's got to fix these things. And there are so many costs of running this business that you just don't expect and you don't notice. And with the amount of injuries we already had this year and the amount of rehab we're having to do, that's all costing so much money.
Yeah, and they really are hidden bonuses that people don't appreciate. I mean, I remember a documentary when Theo Paphitis was in charge of Millwall. Sean Williams went over this, and I remember Neil Harris, who's currently the manager at Millwall, now a big Millwall legend. He ended up having a row with Theo because they were being charged for the bread to put into the toaster, and they were paying for their meal. So these are extremely positive things that the club is outputting, obviously costing a lot of money over the course of a year. That fans don't appreciate, and that's, I guess, why there is a real call to action, isn't there, for the fans to get on board. And I know Alan said this last time we spoke as well. It's not about arriving at the game at 5-3, and quickly getting to your place. It's about getting to the club and having a drink beforehand, and going to the club shop and buying a program and having your lunch at the club beforehand, because we are a team. We are all shoulder to shoulder in this, and every single pound that is spent within the club goes back into supporting the club, doesn't it?
100%. And that's why it's so important that the local companies and local businesses get behind what we're doing and make that commitment to support the club, because
Yeah.
it is a hub for the community. It's a hub where, so many, on a weekend, I think I put in the column that's in the paper today, Sunday morning, when you're seeing all these kids and families all in our kit, it just makes you feel so proud. When I came in here and I drove around the town, I didn't see one kit, didn't see one Eastbourne Borough kit around town. Now you'll see kits around town. You'll see them all over the internet. If we've changed anything in the last year, we've made people proud to wear Eastbourne Borough colours. It was all Liverpool, Brighton, Man United, Tottenham, Spurs, Arsenal, but not Eastbourne Borough. Now, when you look at them playing in the fields, you see more Borough kits, and that, to me, is one of our greatest achievements so far.
And uniquely for a club at our level, that transcends Eastbourne. I mean, I saw on X the other day, formerly known as Twitter, there was a Brazilian supporters club that's just opened up, and I'm part of a football manager community on Facebook, and lots of people were talking recently. The team that a lot of people are going to choose in the coming season is Eastbourne Borough, and this has definitely come outside of Eastbourne now. This is where people speaking about. I know in speaking to Kim, we send shirts to all countries, internationally. And this is a very new thing. The club wasn't doing this before, was it?
No, not at all. It didn't have a website, a club shop website. Within the first year, we sent, I think, Kim will correct me if I'm not, over 300 shirts to America. And I saw last week a shirt in Brisbane. I saw a shirt in even this morning. I got a picture from Ghana of somebody who came to the game on Saturday and bought a shirt and took it back for his son and sent me a picture. So, as a brand, Eastbourne Borough, when we came in, had about 15,000 followers across all their social platforms. We're now over 250,000 across all our social platforms, and growing every single day. Last week alone, we grew over 5,000 new followers on our social platforms. No other football club is growing at the speed that we are. We're making great content, which again was something that I was lambasted and criticised for last year. And I said, I don't care. We're in this modern world. We've got to be positive and aggressive about our messaging. We've got to get out there and tell people what we're doing. We've got to be different. And to the point now, I'm getting young football people who want to buy football clubs are sending me their documents saying, "What do you think about this? You seem to be an expert on this." I'm like, I'm no expert. I'm just learning the same as everybody else. I'm going through all the pain that everybody else is going through, but I'm getting some successes because I'm doing the right things.
Yeah, I want to specifically, just mention this because I mentioned earlier on about Facebook, and one of the real sensitive topics that you got a lot of aggro for was the work that we was doing on social media. People were saying, especially when results weren't going well, people were ridiculously saying, "Oh, the players shouldn't be recording TikToks; they should be training," as if the TikTok recording was being done instead of training. Obviously, we all know that this was being done after, and by the player's choice. But specifically, just as a way to sort of show how important this was, I know you're not one to say "I told you so," but that Pierce Bird goal that went viral, and I don't know how many millions of people ended up seeing that, and it got shared around all of the huge football platforms on Instagram and on TikTok. Specifically, there's a monetary value to that because if I'm right in saying so, Joel's son from Stagecoach, he ended up seeing that, didn't he? And it was Joel at Stagecoach that then approached the club, and obviously Stagecoach have developed into being a back of a shirt sponsor, and obviously coming alongside exactly the sort of thing that you're talking about, where we can harness the power of social media and go from being this small community-based club in Eastbourne and going out to the whole of the world and going viral with it, right?
I get messages from Colombia, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"How do you know about us in Colombia?" Well, I studied at EF, or I went to university in Eastbourne, and there's such a great alumni of people who went to either Eastbourne College or came here and study a language all over the world that are now following us, and we get fans come in from Norway quite a lot this year because of our Norwegian Cruise Line sponsorship. So all these things where we're spreading the message and spreading a really positive message about what we're doing, we're getting great echoes all around the planet.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well, Piers
We
Beard, I think he got 100 million views uh, in total, and they were talking about it on Talk Sport. It will be every time they do a non-league best goals of all time, it will appear in there, and
yeah,
but the beautiful thing is we captured it so perfectly, and that's luck, right? When you're in the right place at the right time and you do the right things, good things happen.
well, I'm sure Zach would say it's not luck. I'm sure it's all about his positioning. I'm sure
Actually,
it was a
it's about the tagline, actually.
yeah. One of the financial opportunities for a club in our division is to have a run in the FA Cup with a hope of obviously drawing a team away in the later rounds. You obviously watch these games with both a fans and an owner's hat on, knowing what the potential upside is. Did that put extra pressure for you on the Boreham Wood game last week?
Um, yes, if I'm very honest, I'm still not over it. I'm struggling. Um, I was desperate for a cup run for 5 reasons. One, I wanted it for the fans. I wanted it for the club. I wanted it for the players. I'd given them a huge incentive in the cup. I not donated, but I promised a huge cut of the of our earnings from the cup run to them, back to them, because I was so committed this year that was going to be something we did. We'd get to the first round proper and hope we got a decent run out of it. We deserved it for everything we've been through. So for us to fall at the first hurdle was just like, honestly, I've been demoralised all week.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. I mean, I looked at who Boreham Wood drew in the next round, and it looks like quite an easy home tie, doesn't it? So you can start dreaming of what that looks like. But if there's always next season, that's a good thing, isn't it? I mean, I know you're famous for this. It's very easy, isn't it, to look forward and to see how much further on the journey we've got to go. But I think it's important to have conversations like this, Simon, this morning, and also appreciate and look back at how far we've come in the last year as well, because in many many ways we're unrecognisable as a club to what we was a year ago, and here we are sitting second in the league. We've got a fantastic team, an unbelievable manager, and so much of the infrastructure with foundations are in place for us to be able to move forward in a really positive way as well, aren't they?
I think Brighton called it Premier League ready 2 years before they were in the Premier League. I want to be
Yeah,
league ready, and
yeah,
we've got to get. We've still got, no matter how far we've come, we're still a long way away from where we need to be because we, you know, we, we we're still we're not there yet. We are complete. We're still unfinished, unpolished diamond dudes with lots of work to do. And Adam is working his bits off to get us there. And the analysis that we're putting into every single game, into every single post game, and evaluating and understanding. And people make mistakes, and
yeah.
but those mistakes, can have a huge impact on a club this size.
Yeah, I want to talk about Adam from a moment. You've obviously mentioned him. We've had an incredible start to the season, and a key reason behind that is the impact that Adam and his teams had on the club. How important is he to everything that we're doing? And if he carries on doing what he is doing now, how do we keep hold of him?
Um, Someone said that to me about my top salespeople. How do you keep hold of them? The truth is, you can't. If they're really, really good, someone else is gonna value them more than we can afford to pay them. Um, but if you look after people, they'll stay longer than they should. And I am sure that people have approached Adam over the last 6, 7 months for what he's done. I'm going to tell you some. I don't know what the right word is. I was offered Adam October time, November time. And I went and looked at his interviews and I thought he was really fucking terrible at interviewing. I thought he was dour. He was worse than Mark. And I thought, I don't want to take someone who's worse than Mark at interviewing. And by the way, there's nothing I haven't said to Adam. I've said this to Adam at the time. And one of the commitments I made to him was, you'll be a much better interviewer. I'm gonna make you a better manager. And he did share that, another club had said a similar thing to him. If you look at Adam's interviews now, they are head and shoulders better than any other manager in this league. The content is head and shoulders better than any manager in the league. So Adam Murray is way better than this league. And Adam Murray should be managing at the highest level, but he's not. He's with us, and as long as he's with us, he's going to give us everything we can. And I'm going to keep investing in him. And I know at the minute he's getting lots of support from some of my senior friends, and they're helping him to become a better manager, to see different things, helping with some of his blind spots. We've got some coaches coming in over the next couple of months from special forces who are going to help us with grit and mindset. So there's no stopping in what we're doing. I am committed to making every person from the bar manager through to the first team coaches the best they possibly can be. And if someone comes in and takes them, I will be the happiest. But I was happy when Fletcher went. I nearly cried I did cry actually when Fletcher went, right? But I was so happy for him. And by the way, we could have got more money for Fletcher. We didn't do the best deal for the club. We did the best deal for Fletcher and Fletcher's family, and that's really important to mention, because too many clubs just care about the chairman, just care about their pockets and their coffers. I care about these people like people, because if you do that and you look after the people in the right way, then they don't leave you, and if they do leave you, they leave you in the right way. So I know, if Adam stays with us and we get to the league together, I'll be delighted. If Adam gets poached, I'll be delighted for him as well. And there's no shortage of managers, there's no shortage of players, there's no shortage of anything. There's no shortage of money, right? There is enough of everything to go around, and for everybody to be happy.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure that
That
every single
deserves an
person
amen, I
watching this
think.
say that again. Sorry.
Deserves an amen.
It does deserve an amen. I think every single person watching this, will hope that Adam's around for a long time, and that we can all go on this journey together, and we can realise the ambitions of both him personally and as a club. I'm sure those ambitions are aligned, and hopefully we can continue on that journey together. Simon, as a businessman, we've already mentioned that you're forward thinking and you're an entrepreneur at heart, aren't you? What's been your experience being parachuted into an environment within the non-league scene that isn't known at all for being innovative?
It's frustrating, and I'm a bit of a thorn in everybody's backside at the minute because, I run a streaming TV business. The National League TV is substandard. Um, I haven't seen the product this year with TNT, with the DAZN, but I offered on probably a dozen occasions to help their commercial team. Said they're not doing great commercial deals. I have done some great commercial deals for Eastbourne Borough, and I've offered to sit down with the commercial team. I've been to meet them. They listened to me. They told me that what I thought was possible was unrealistic. I said, well, guess what? I've done it at Eastbourne Borough, one team. You should be able to do better than that for the whole league. But they're unfortunately run by a group of people who are set in their ways, who don't really want to change. Change is uncomfortable for them. Um, the Premier League runs the show all the way down the leagues. Unfortunately, it's whatever they say goes, and it needs change. And I'll, at the minute it's sort of death by paper cuts, but I'm making a lot of noise. This is a really good league. There's 72 really good clubs with about 1,500 amazing players. Some of them who could be playing higher. Some of them who are just remarkable finds. Our own Braden Johnson, I think, is a remarkable find of the season. The problem is that every single one of the non-league thingies already punditing him to be gone. He's only been with us 3 or 4 weeks, 3 or 4 games, and all of a sudden everyone's saying he should be sold. So we're going to keep discovering great players, and I'm going to keep making a lot of noise at every level of this league until people start taking some notice, because we deserve not to have to put our hand in our pocket every single month. And it's not just me, it's nearly every owner across this league.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not quite sure what they do, but I remember seeing pre-season that there was a couple of representatives from other clubs. I think the Hampton and Richmond guy sort of called up to work with the league in a sort of advisory role. Is that something that you'd be willing to do going forward next time that those opportunities come up? And I mean, clearly, commercially, you can have a great input into that. Some, I mean, how willing would you be to sort of support that?
Well, Alan has been nominated, I think. I think he will sit on the commercial board unless they change their mind. They don't like me because I'm too outspoken and I expect too much to change too quickly. I talked to Ben at Hampton Richmond. He wants to see change as much as I do. Simon at Farnborough, I don't think would like to do it, but he's not. He just wants to be part of the Tea Party, unfortunately, and that's not good enough. It's not a. I used to in business. There used to be these associations, and I used to call them the Tea and Biscuit Brigade. You turn up and you have your tea and a biscuit, and you all talk a load of nonsense, and you all go home and nothing changes. And that's what it's like at the minute. Nothing is going to change. Nobody is brave enough, committed enough to challenge the status quo.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully that will change. For sure. One of the exciting elements that you've touched on, and with a potential area around the stadium, are your plans to develop the stadium in that way. How are those plans going, Simon?
They're stuck in a quagmire somewhere. I wrote quite a heartfelt piece in the paper today. My ambitions are incredibly ambitious, and I'm trying to bring as many people with me on that journey. The government organisations never run very quickly, and I'm dealing with people who just don't want to respond to me. I keep sending reminders and I keep getting ignored. So I reached out to our MP this morning and I just said, look, you want this to happen. You want me to make a difference. And we'll see. He's promised to see what we can to nudge it along. But I've been chasing now since before the summer, and we've got some plans, we've got some drawings. We're waiting them to give us an idea if they're happy for us to to plough along with it. Um, and then, out of the blue, yesterday I got an email from senior member of the council saying, would I sit on the advisory board for investment into Eastbourne? And of course I said yes, but it's just frustrating because I have so much experience and contacts to making Eastbourne famous all over the world. But there's no money. There's no money in the government. They're shutting down all the services. Everything's getting cut back. They're going to shut the toilets because they can't afford to run them. And something needs to change. And this is a beautiful part of the world. It's a beautiful town. There's so much opportunity here, and yet everyone sort of accepts for what it is and doesn't want to make a difference. And when you do want to make a difference, they all bloody ignore you.
Yeah. Well, being an advisor to the council commercially would just be yet another plate that you've got to spin. Whenever I speak to somebody like you, I'm always keen to sort of pull back the veil and to see what your life actually looks like on a day-to-day basis. What does a typical day look like for you, Simon?
Most mornings I'm in the gym. Um, I don't do very much cardio. I'm trying to keep my bones strong and keep my mind strong. Um, and then I'll come to the office and we'll do some deals and working with quite a few of the big airlines at the moment. And then we have a TV network in the US called Reach TV, which has very kindly sponsored our stadium, and that has the rights to major sporting NFL, NBA, with Copper America, and I've been negotiating some of the rights for some of those sporting occasions. I work with Sport 24, which is the um, live sport in planes. So when you get on an Emirates plane going to Australia, you can watch the Premier League all the way. So I love live sports. I love sports, full stop, and I love negotiating rights for them and making sure more and more people can see them for free.
Yeah, amazing. Well, football's a game that brings out so many emotions. How do you handle these emotions as an owner? Does a bad result ruin your weekend, or are you able to get over it pretty quickly?
No, as I said, I'm still struggling with last weekend's defeat. Um, for just for for the reasons I mentioned, that I really desperately wanted to see us have a little bit of glory this year.
Yeah. And then in terms of emotion, I mean, anybody who's seen you during a game, you kick every ball, you head every ball, the joy on your face when we score a goal. Do you think that will ever wear off?
Never. Last weekend before last, I went to Truro, and I flew down from Gatwick. The plane going out was 12 hours delayed, and after sitting on the tarmac for 3 hours on the Sunday, they cancelled the flight and stuck us in the back of a transit van. And despite not having a night's sleep, and there is nothing. I wasn't miserable one bit, because we'd gone all the way to Truro and we'd won the game, and there's nothing that can beat that. And like I
Yeah.
say, normally if we lose to a better team, and I think we've played really well, I'm cool with that. It's gone. It's gone in an instant. Even like there were some games last year where we lost in the last minute or drew in the last minute, and you say to yourself, well, it was coming, or we didn't deserve that. We didn't play very well. But when we don't play well, and the other team are just not that good either.
Yeah.
That's much harder to deal with.
Yeah. Or when we're playing against a referee as well, right? That's also a very frustrating experience.
I don't know what we've made a real concerted effort this year with the referees. We put sweets and shower gels and everything in there, and fresh towels. We want them to feel welcome when they come to Eastbourne Borough, and I'm hoping that all I keep saying to all the referees every week they come in, I always say hello to them. I say, look, I don't care if you make bad decisions, just make bad decisions for both of us. Just be consistent.
Yeah.
Just be fair. Try and let the game run. Stop trying to book everyone. It's like it's expensive enough trying to run this club. We had, I think it was something like 15 grand in fines last year. It's
Yeah.
just too much money, and some of it was, they were dishing out yellow cards like they were M&Ms.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, as you reflect on all the things that we've been speaking about and, where we've come over the last year, if you could go back to the moment that you first walked into Borough, would you change anything?
No, I think every single moment has been a learning moment. I think we're making better decisions now because of the challenges we went through, and I think we wouldn't be in as healthy a position as we are now if we hadn't done and gone through you know, what we'd suffered over the last 15, 16 months.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier on about one of the highlights for you is being able to bring your boys on the journey and your wife as well. I've met your wife at a couple of games as well. I know she's engaged with a project as well. On a personal note, you're a dad to some really great boys who are all doing great in their chosen fields. The most well known to the fans will probably be Scott. How much of a joy has it been to be able to see those boys blossom and to be engaged with the club?
I mean, it, it's good and it's bad, right? I'm frustrated that I've not seen him play. I think he's definitely fitter than he's ever been, and he's enjoying the joys of training full time football and being a full time footballer, and some of the bad things that come with being a full time footballer. And I wish I could see him more and see him play more. But it's been, when he plays well. When he plays, it makes it slightly more stressful for me because I'm like, don't make a mistake, don't make a mistake. It makes it even worse. But that boy's got big cojones, and last year when he was getting slated by all the fans, he came out there and he battled and he turned a lot of them around, and a lot of them were definitely more supportive of him. He's an exceptional young player. He will be a good player, and he'll get his chance. And I love the fact that all the boys are there and all have and having an impact on what we're doing. And someone said something to me yesterday, and it really um, it knocked me actually, because he said, to be able to get your kids in that sort of position where they are self-sufficient and doing what they're doing, and they are good human beings, right? If anyone ever meets any of my kids, they will tell you they're all very polite and charming and very, very affable, and probably more to do with my wife than me. But they've all got a really good heart, and
Yeah.
it takes a lot to build a business. It takes a lot to do, to make a living, but it takes a hell of a lot more to bring up good kids.
Yeah. 100%. Anyone that's met any of them will say great, great lads. And you've obviously seen Scott play a lot of games of football before Borough. You've probably always known him like we did as a fullback, right? But I mean, in pre-season, he turned into this, midfield dynamo, probably the best player in pre-season. Did you know that he had that in his locker?
I said to Adam, "What have you done? You've discovered something." He said he's a mix of Vinnie Jones and Pirlo.
No, absolutely. Yeah, looking forward to when he gets his opportunity, hopefully soon. We've heard previously Alan, Adam, and the players refer to the Borough fans as the 12th man, and we've seen glimpses of what that can look like when it's working really well. Think of Dartford and Braintree away last season. That were a couple of games that come to mind. We've also seen games where it feels flat and that we're quiet as fans. What would your rallying cry be to us as fans, Simon, as we approach the game on Saturday?
I mean, I don't know what it is. I mean, we talked about this before we came on air. You said it was a lot noisier than I thought it was last week, and only 650 people came last week. And to me, for a quite a big FA Cup game, we'd expected a much bigger turnout. I mean, I know the first rounds of the FA Cup are not particularly big fanfares. Even with Worthing last year, they didn't bring that many either. Um, it just felt flat. It just felt flat. It just feels like we've got a mix of a great and it's one of our greatest achievements is getting the young fans in, the 15 to 20-year-olds. We've got lots of them now, and they're growing and they're bringing their friends. And I made a point of this to the council. I said, while they're with me on a Saturday watching football, they're not on the streets up to no good. And I said, this is a really important point that I'm making, which is that I'm getting kids off the streets and I'm giving them a different focus. And I think you need to recognise that and support that and get behind that. And they're not. And but they'll make some noise. When the game dips, that's when you need the noise. And we've seen Dorking come, and their fans didn't stop for 102 minutes. We saw the Borough Wood fans. There's only about 40 or 50 of them make so much noise last week. And I think we're even better away from home. We've got to learn to do that better at home. There's still a few moany people in the stands, closer to me, and Adam hears them a lot. They moan from the first minute, and they do it this, don't do that, and I think that's really unhelpful. You saw Dean Brennan at Barnet, do a real call out to the fans, saying, look, they can hear you, they can hear what you're saying. And it's not helping. So why are you doing it? And I think there needs to be more positive noise and positive echoes coming out of the crowds.
Yeah,
that's
100% agree with that. I mean, these players do hear everything. They're human beings. And if you're a real fan, what possible positive outcome can there be from being told that you're rubbish or booing a pass? I mean, we all know in our jobs, we want to be encouraged. You want to be told that you're good and to be cheered on. And as fans, that's got to be the absolute foundation of everything that we do, isn't it, going forward?
100%. 100%. Success is driven by belief, as it says above my head. It says it in the back of every Borough shirt. Every time you buy a shirt, it's got that weaved into it. And we've all got to believe. We've got to believe that we are going to go up this year. We've got to believe that we're going to be in the league team. The women have had a fantastic start to the season. If you come and watch us at a weekend, you're going to get great value for money. You don't pay to go and see the women, and they score dozens of goals, and that's what we need. We need that support. We need support for everything we're doing. And that investment that's going into the women's team, going into the disabled team, going into the walking football teams. We want that. We want this. Every single one of those teams, by the way, are growing and growing in size, and that's because we're committed to developing it. And it's been a tough journey. I am definitely frustrated this week, and I appreciate the opportunity to vent a little bit with you, because sometimes you haven't got many people to vent to. I talk to that bloke in the mirror, a couple of times a week, and he tells me to wipe my mouth and just get on with it. But sometimes it's good to publicly vent and just say, look, I'm not happy. I'm not happy that we're not in the FA Cup anymore, and I'm not happy that we've lost the opportunity to have a decent cup run.
Yeah. Well, I know I speak for all of the fans, Simon. We've got a leader in you, a leader in Alan, a leader in Adam, and the rest of the team that you've put together that know how to get through these things, and we couldn't have a more positive future under all of your leadership. So we're very thankful for everything you've done for the club. And I know you don't hear that very often, and you probably the noise of the negative things probably hit harder than the appreciation, but you are very well thought of, and people are very thankful for all that you've done at the club. We're going to take a very quick break before asking you the signature from the club questions.
Traveling to a restrictive country with internet censorship? If you want to access your country's websites and content you love securely, a VPN is the answer. With just a few clicks, NordVPN changes your virtual location. You can enjoy your favorite websites and services securely, as if you're home. Choose from over 5,000 servers in 60 countries and surf the internet with no restrictions.
Simon, as you know, as a business, we're all about official signed memorabilia, and we are so thankful you were the first club to come on board with from the club and to give us an opportunity and to encourage us with the business. So these next questions are all memorabilia related. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Have you ever asked anyone for their autograph in person before?
Yes, normally for the kids. But I'll tell you the best autograph I ever got. It was December 20th, 2007. And I remember the date because it was a date George was born. And baby was born in the morning. And I said, right, Doll, I've got to go. I'm playing football with David Beckham tonight and I need to go and see him. So we used to run a football tournament every Christmas for the guys in the company. It was called the David Beckham tournament. It was at the David Beckham Academy in the O2. And David would come and he'd sign your shirt. And I said, listen, David, I'm only here tonight because my son George has been born and I wanted to come and see you. And he'd had a couple of boys at that time as well. So we had a little chat about it. He signed my shirt. So, and I still got that shirt, that signed shirt of, and we used to do it every year. And you were managed by a current professional and you had a legend in your team. So it was like football heaven. If you imagine there was 20 teams, so you had 20 current professionals and 20 legends all playing against each other. So everybody was like, this is the best day of the year, so I couldn't miss it. So I still remind George that every time, on his birthday, I went and spent an hour or four with David Beckham.
Doesn't get any better than David Beckham. I think you've just completed this part of the show, Simon. We're going to have to retire this now. Now that we've had bets. You might have just answered this next question. I'm going to ask you, what memorabilia do you own? And if so, what's your favourite piece?
My favourite piece I've just given to Benji. It was the 1966. It was a 1966 shirt with all the players signed it. I gave that to him when he moved into his new home. I've actually got. I was thinking about this just now. I've got a couple of shirts: a Welsh rugby shirt and a Swansea City shirt. I am Welsh, by the way, by birth. That are all signed in a box somewhere, and I might give them to you, and maybe you can make them look nice for me. To be honest, I've had so much stuff, but when there's charity auctions, I like to give it away, and so I've had some great signed stuff over the years, and football boots, football balls, gloves, but most of it I've given away.
Yeah, great stuff. If you could have anyone's autograph, dead or alive, who would you have and why?
I'd like either Ronaldo or Messi to write me a nice note to say, listen, the real life Ted Lasso, get on and make this thing a huge success.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, Simon, as always, it's been so lovely to spend some time with you. I really appreciate, your honesty and your time today. Before we let you go, let us know your closing thoughts and also where people can follow you on social media.
You can follow me on LinkedIn and Instagram. I'm not a bigger post. I'd rather you followed Eastbourne Borough and everything that we're doing. We are. My final thought is this: is that everything you want to do in life takes much longer than you expect. But as long as you keep doing the right things on enough days, and you look after people and treat people fairly, then things will turn out just about all right.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Simon, thanks again for your time.
Thank you.